Okay, you ready to get this kicked off and started?
Am.
Awesome, everyone. Well, welcome to our podcast. I am Adam Leeper,
I am Anisha Leeper.
and our podcast is called The Love Leap.
Yes.
Let me do this one. The Love Leap. So, the reason why we decided to start doing a podcast together as a married couple now for it'll be 2 years probably by the time that
Yes.
Yeah.
4th.
June 4th. It'll be 2 years by the time this episode probably drops, or we might drop it right before. But we were encouraged throughout our relationship and engagement phase to really in our engagement to getting married phase to start a podcast and talk about what we've been going through and like spread the word of what marriage is like from our perspective to people that are about to get married, that are in their first few years of marriage, or that are, newly engaged or in relationships trying to get married. So, yeah, we wanted to make a podcast that was specifically for those early stages of relationships from dating all the way up to like those first few years of marriage, because like we've been seeing, nobody's really talking about that.
Right. And this is in no ways or, no shape or form saying that we are perfect at all. We get into it with each other. We have great days. Some days we have days where we're disconnected. But that's kind of what this is for. There's a couples goals type of thing that always, everybody sees with these Instagram couples, these TikTok couples and stuff like that, but they're never really telling you the truth. And I feel like we're very open and honest. We've always been very open and honest, especially with our friends. And so, we'll be open and honest with you guys up to a certain extent. Not everything, but we are, more than happy to be open and honest and have these candid conversations that nobody in our age group with the small amount of years being married is doing right now. Everybody else is 10 plus years. They've been college sweethearts. They were high school sweethearts, and then they have podcasts and they've got, 5 kids. We don't have that. We're still young. We're millennials. Only been married going on 2 years, and it's time to kind of shake things up for the millennials out here.
Yeah, we're definitely younger before the older millennials start to try to come for us in the comments. We are technically millennials, even though we were born at the tail end of it. But
no, you're technically really a millennial. It's me who's a little bit questionable. They always take my year, and it's either in the millennial time frame or it's in the Gen Z time frame. And I am here to say that I'm a millennial through and through. So
yeah, but we wanted to make this for us, for that younger, not necessarily younger generation, but earlier in their stages of marriage all the way back to dating. So we'll have some interesting conversations with couples that we'll bring on.
And our single friends. Our single friends are out here doing amazing things. We can't wait to bring them on. We've got so many different people that have different things going on in their lives. And then we've got a lot of couples that we're friends with that have a lot going on in their lives. And you'll see the differences and how they got together and, them building their union right now. So very excited about that.
And then we'll branch off into the 10 plus, 20 plus year old relationships and marriages to get their take on and perspective on relationships and how marriage is when you have that much longevity. But that's where we see that people aren't really talking about it, is just this early time frame. So we want to take you on a journey from when we started all the way to where we're at now. And then as we continue to grow this podcast, you'll continue to see our journey along the way, and then our friends and, couple friends and single friends, their journeys as well, and how they navigate life. Really after the pandemic, how they navigate things and
pandemonium,
and how things go with that. So These first few episodes, though, we're going to be just strictly talking about us and letting you know about how we started and, our origin story all the way up till now and the many phases that took before we got to getting married and how interesting that story is. So you'll be in for a treat, and then we'll start to bring on guests on the show, and we'll show you different segments that we have planned as well. One of my favorite that we have planned is really breaking down date night ideas. And if anybody out there knows anybody at Dave and Buster's corporate,
oh my goodness,
that in the marketing department specifically that would handle this, we would love to be sponsored by Dave and Buster's.
We will tell you later on why he is saying this.
Yes,
it plays a big part into our relationship to this day.
Yes.
So,
but more on that. More on that later.
So let's just go ahead and get into it. So we're going to cheers to that, and let's talk. It's good.
It is good. And for anybody that wants to know, you can put it down in the comments. Actually, let's see. Put it down in the comments what you think we're drinking.
They're not going to guess that.
And if you're close, we'll let you know at some point. But put it down in the comments.
Y'all are not going to guess it. You're not going to guess it. He's setting you up for failure.
It doesn't matter. We'll see. They know there's ice in the cup, so there's only
I'll give you a hint. It's definitely not alcohol.
Yeah, so. It's not alcohol. And it is healthy, so there you go. Run wild with that. So we're going to first get into talking about how we met. And I want you to start with your perspective of how we met.
I was stalked, Your Honor. I'm just playing.
Oh my God.
So here we are, college. All right, 2016. Adam decided to cross into what he claims the greatest fraternity in the entire world.
Yes, the greatest fraternity in the land, in the world. In the Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. Shout out to the noobs that'll be listening to this, but yes, the greatest.
Okay. Anyways, yes, my dear husband here crossed Kappa Alpha Psi in 2016. The same year I went through a process and became what is known as Crimson Course Incorporated now, but y'all may know him as Kappa Sweethearts, Kappa Diamonds, all that stuff. Okay. I was a serial dater. I dated, I just dated. That was just me. So I was in a relationship. And at this point in time, I happened to be in a relationship and minding my business. Okay. I then get a message on Instagram from one of Adam's line sisters, and it was a video. And when you people just send like a clip in Instagram, like through messages, it's like pops up with the play button, and you just press it, and then it pops up. Mind my business. I don't remember where I was. I think I was at my house, and it popped up, and I pressed play, and it's him. And he's like, "Yo, Snakes, I'm trying to get with you. Stop playing.
Stop playing with me." Yep.
Y'all, I didn't even know this man. I didn't even know him. I had never I don't think I had ever seen you at all, honestly. No, and the thing is, people would actually post pictures, but I just never. I didn't pay attention to all the pictures and stuff, so I never really seen you. And I knew the only people that I knew at that time were Dewan and Muhammad, because I met them one random night and that was it. I didn't know anybody else on that line.
Yeah, there's a few of my line brothers. Shout out to the back of the line.
Okay, but I didn't know him. I didn't know anybody else. That's really it. Oh, Rich too. I did know Rich.
Yeah.
So I just sent back LOL, because I didn't know what to say at that point in time. I didn't know. So once again, like I said, I was in a relationship, so I didn't know. Let's move on. So here we are, out of a relationship. 2017.
2017, No, the video was in 2017.
Oh, the video was in
Going
2017.
going into pretty much 2018.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it was. The video was about spring 2018.
2018. Okay.
Yeah.
So here we are, 2018, and you remember back then we used to have these things where like you would post a riddle on your story and everybody would have to answer the question, and if they didn't answer it right, they would have to repost it. So he posted a questionnaire thingy. Thank you. And I answered it and he told me I got it wrong. But we had a very long discourse in the DMs about this question and how I didn't have it wrong. And he told me to repost it because I got it wrong. And I said no. Moved on from that. That was like, these were short conversations where it just was like not really going anywhere. But he will tell you he was being strategic in the back of his mind this whole time.
Don't ruin it for him.
And I knew nothing about it. I did not know that he was really stunting me like that. I didn't know that. So I eventually made a post on my story stating about how people of our age do not want to sit there and have a conversation, a deep conversation. They just want to text you, what you doing, where you at, that's it. And it was nothing ever, kind of going past that. I am one of those people who likes to have like very deep intellectual conversations, resulting in a lot of things. We talk about just a bunch of stuff, the ocean and all that stuff. So, I just wanted to, see what was going to happen. Posted it, and guess who slid in my DM? Who wants to go to the Four Seasons Orlando?
Who wants to go to Four Seasons Orlando?
Me. So I was like, all right. So he slid in and he's like, yeah, you know what? You're right. Like nobody our age ever does, And so that was a longer discourse this time. And he ended that conversation with, well, if you ever want to talk, I'm always here for you. You can hit me up. I was like, oh, okay, cool. But you know what? Here, just take my number and you can text me whenever you want. And I gave him my number and then he texted me. So that's what my side of the things, that's how I seen it. And then we'll get into that conversation through text message after he says his side.
Yeah, so okay. So what we say in the military.
I seen it as innocent. Cause
we'll keep it PG. He's us about to curse. If I curse on this podcast, don't y'all come for me in the comments.
You can bleep it out.
Come for your mama. I don't care. But it was the no shit there I was moment. So it's 2016. Again, I'm crossing over into the greatest fraternity in the world, into Kappaland. And during that time, I was doing a lot. So I was crossing over into being a noob into Kappa Alpha Psi. I was building a organization while I was doing everything as being a neophyte, right? As I was crossing over, I was building an organization on campus. I was a mentor on campus for the Jumpstart program, which was, I'll go into that probably at some other time, but just know I was a mentor for another program. I was a Division II track athlete right after I got offline, I won my first championship. So I was an athlete at the same time.
In the Army.
And I was in ROTC. And not just in ROTC, I did a simultaneous membership program to where because I was going into the Army National Guard, which I'm still serving in as an officer, I would go as a cadet every month to go with a unit that I was assigned to.
Mm-hmm.
So I would go to drill every single month as well. So when she was doing her process through Crimson Courts Incorporated, and I was doing mine through Kappa. Both of our chapters, hers in Ohio and mine in Pennsylvania, they knew each other because they had such like we had a deep history relationship from our Kappa chapters in the past, knowing of each other from like the 80s and 90s up. So anytime I talk to some of my old heads, they remember her chapter because they were closer to Ohio at the school that I went to. We were on the pretty much the border almost. So we were close enough to Ohio that they would, in their heyday, go out there and mingle and build relationships. So
yeah, and Kappa stroll through the parties.
Right. So it was something that our chapters, especially even with the people that were my old heads that were bringing me in, my pro fights, they knew of her chapter and the KKI chapter at my school knew of the KKI chapter at her school. So everybody was really connected, but we wouldn't be in the same place at the same time.
Everybody was connected except for like me. I was just like on the outskirts most of the time.
Right, but
I never knew what was happening.
But I wouldn't be there. So when you met Dewan and Muhammad and Rich, and when my line sisters from KKI crossed over and had their presentation, you were there. I was either at drill or I was competing. I just don't remember which one I was at. But that weekend, I was it's one of the three things. I was either at drill, I was doing something for ROTC because we had events. I think
you may have been at drill,
or I was at a competition. So one of those three things was always true at all points in time during my process. So I can't remember exactly which one, but I was at one of those three, and I could remember. Well, no, because I was like I just remember that I wasn't.
You weren't there.
I was told about it.
Yeah,
but I just wasn't there.
I was the only one who went from my line.
So that happened. That event happened, and then people were like, well, "Where was he? Where was he at? Where was he at?" So again, I met more people from her school, but she wasn't around because they came back a couple other times, and she wasn't around for that.
Yeah,
but when we crossed, I ended up finding you. Well, because we were in different group chats.
And, goodness gracious!
Yeah, all the deals.
Oh God!
Also, at that time, for people who don't know, Kappa Psi had come off of a moratorium in 2016. So there was a flood of new Kappas.
My goodness. The group B's were so bad.
It was so bad.
Spring 16 took over. And it was just the fact that the group me's were just like terrible. It was just nothing but group me's.
That app, group me, probably had a significant spike in people getting on there in 2016 because there was such a backlog of Kappas that they were on moratorium from 2014, spring 2014, because Jordan crossed and we were interests at that time and we were getting ready to like try to get on and all this other stuff. And they were like, nope, the next semester we're done. And they didn't open up the gates again, really the floodgates, until 2016. They did some in 2015 and
but 2016 took over. That was like a very big surplus of just spring 2016. Like I'm just like when you think back on it, like in those group me's, it was so many different chapters,
so many people,
and then the lines were a lot bigger because they were bringing more people in. So you had lines like 15 and like less than that, but then they put their whole line inside of these group chats.
Well, like even
so bad.
Even like the chapter that we came from at the University of Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah,
they had probably one of their biggest lines.
Yeah. I was gonna say BB's line is huge.
They had 10, and then after that, they had like 3, 4, 1.
Yeah.
So they
it was weird. It was so crazy because I mean, even with like Gamma Beta out there, AQ had a big line. Gamma Beta. I can't even think of the chapter, but out in Cincinnati, that line was big.
Yeah.
They were all huge
lines.
So it was a party.
Right.
It was fun.
We're talking about the north, the East Central province, and you guys are in Ohio. What province are you?
What are you guys?
We're East Central.
ECP?
ECP.
I don't know. I don't go to. I'm not a noob, so I don't know that. Ours is different with KKI though.
Yeah, but didn't you have to know? Either way, okay. So Ohio was split. So
yeah, Ohio, split.
Cleveland,
The rest of them are all in Michigan. So it's like the northern province. That's what it is. Northern province.
Northern province. Duh. So the areas that we like, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Ohio, we don't historically, from what I know, have huge lines like they do in the South. Yeah. So again, this was a very significant time.
It is, because most of the parties that I would go to would be Northern Province parties. So I would be out in Saginaw, Michigan in general. So Eastern Michigan and stuff like that, versus coming over to Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Western PA, and then West Virginia. So we had Cleveland to West Virginia, and then it went to a different like province over there because PA is split as well. So, but we were in group chats together. So again, just like a Neo would, I'm following all the females because at that time I had gone through a breakup halfway through my process going in, and I wasn't together. I wasn't with anybody at that time afterwards. You were, but I realized that once I followed you on Instagram. But that was about it. I never knew her name, right? No. Nobody that, like, none of my line brothers knew her name until we started dating.
Nobody knew my name at all.
She would go by her Instagram handle, which was
Snicks. Snicks. So everybody would call me Snicks, Snickerdoodle, Snickers. Yeah.
And that's how she would be introduced to everybody. Yeah. So it didn't matter if you were in a group
to this chat. Day.
To this day, most people know that. So a group me conversation, chat, whatever it was, that was her name. So that's what I knew her as. So then fast forward, we get to I'm getting new initiates under me, and this is spring 2018, and that's when I send you that video with my line sisters. So we're talking 2 years, plastered. 2 years up to that point where I hadn't reached out to her unless it was in like a group chat, but I don't even think
you were barely even in those.
Yeah. So we didn't even talk. We never had a conversation. We never saw each other in person. We only followed each other on Instagram, and I wouldn't. And this comes in handy later. I didn't like any of her message or any of her photos. I didn't leave any comments under any photos for 2 years, even probably further than that. But for 2 years before we actually started talking, I didn't engage on any of her social media platforms whatsoever. So then I send the video, and I'm like, you gotta stop playing with me, Snicks, because again, I don't know her name. I just know Snicks, and that's it. But I saw that she wasn't with anybody at that point in time. And I can remember telling my sisters, like, hey, if I were to, and I can remember thinking this myself too, is if I were to get a shot with her, I would make her like the happiest woman alive. Like, I would not miss if I got that shot. But something you have to understand about me in that time period, and like my Jordan will tell you, one of my pro fights, is that I was just like a
certified lover boy.
Well, yeah, I was a lover guy. Like we were I really just believed. Yeah, I really just would date a lot. Like I would believed in love and like all this other stuff. So
I'm thinking, I don't know if that, because I don't do zodiacs and stuff like that, but I'm assuming it probably has to do with something along the lines of the fact that we're both Leos.
Right. Born 2 days apart.
Because that we both were the same person.
Right. So I was like, okay, she's single, so I shot the shot, but I also didn't have a lot of confidence in what I would do and what I would say. Like, I didn't feel like I could just go up to a girl at a bar or a club or a party and just start talking and get a connection, or like in the dining halls at school, like just walking up. Like, I would, if I tried that, and I tried it a couple times, I got super nervous. So because I don't know what to say really. So that just wasn't my inroad or my game plan. So I waited after that video. She didn't say anything in disgust about it. So to me, a heart on it or a thumbs up or a like is like, okay, cool. I'm still good. So then the opportunity comes where again she answers that riddle. We figured out that I was wrong or we were both wrong in that.
We just thought it was stupid.
Right.
The answer wasn't like, it didn't make it. I don't even remember it. That's the thing. And he doesn't have his old Instagram anymore. So I can't even show you what it was. However, I have the screenshot of the picture that I posted when I was talking about the deep conversations. That's like it. And then I have like our first text message encounter.
But then after that, it had to be some weeks after that, not even too much longer after that you posted that. And I said, got him.
You're like so money, you don't even know it right now.
I'm so money, I don't even know it. If you know what that reference is to, please put it in the comments. And I went and I was like, okay, this is my opportunity because she opened the door. So boom, I'm going to slide in there. It's like if you were at a party or a club and something crazy just happened and you locked eyes with somebody that wasn't too far across the room that saw the same thing.
And we do that now.
And maybe you wanted to talk to that person and you're just like, oh, now I have a whole situation that I can break the ice with. That's kind of how that was for me.
Yeah, we did.
And I broke the ice. We talked. And then again, I didn't want to be too pushy. So I said, hey, if you want to have some more, real deep conversations, feel free to just hit me up on here in the DMs, basically. I wasn't going to ask for the number directly because I didn't know if I was going to get shut down or not. And then she says, well, why don't you just take my number? Got her again. Close it. Hold on. Here's a gunshot for you.
I want to hear that.
We'll hear it in post-production. But got her again, hooked her in, and
reeled it in.
It was pretty much off to the races at that point.
Yeah, basically.
So then, and to set the stage a little bit more for people, this relationship and how it came about, as fast as it came about, in the style that it happened, just every factor that was on this relationship would have been enough for people to just say, no, I'm not going to do this, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So at the time, this is 2018. This is probably around May that we're talking. I left Slippery Rock. I was doing some graduate courses there. I had left Slippery Rock University was the college that I went to. I had left there. Anisha at the time had gotten a conditional job offer to be a flight attendant, and she was getting ready within a couple of months.
Oh, no, a couple of weeks.
Couple of weeks, yeah, right. A couple of weeks to go off to training in Appleton, Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. We are we're in two different states. Mm-hmm. I had a car, yes, but Toledo.
I had a car too, but
I lived in Pittsburgh, so from Pittsburgh to Toledo, that's
4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, like 4.5, somewhere around there, or maybe just under 4 hours. Either way, you're gonna have to plan like a weekend or 2 days.
I wasn't driving that far.
Right.
Sorry, my parents are probably gonna hear this, but yeah, I was driving to Cleveland, but I was not driving to Pittsburgh. I wasn't driving to Pennsylvania in general, alone. And my parents not knowing about it, but they knew that. They didn't know that.
But you had family in Cleveland, so that's different. Plus, there were schools that you would like.
Yeah, but they didn't know I was doing that. That's why I said I'm teaching myself. Or I was driving to Michigan, but that's it. Like I wasn't.
But you have people out there that you knew versus coming to Pittsburgh, you wouldn't know anybody.
Yeah, I didn't know anybody.
And then me, on the flip side, the farthest I've ever gone into Ohio up to that point was to Cleveland. I went, for our test, we went to Dayton, Ohio. Yeah. But other than that, like really the farthest I went with people that I know and then met people that I knew down there was going to an AQ event over one summer. And we went to Cleveland and then drove back because that's not too far from the city. Yeah. So it is what it is.
But I'm like, and I grew up thinking Pittsburgh was bad anyways.
Yeah.
My dad is a diehard Cleveland Browns fan, and so he's always said Pittsburgh was bad, Pitts puke in general. What's that? Man, when they flight got canceled yesterday.
Right.
But he always instilled to us that Pittsburgh was bad. So I never wanted to go there.
So we're a long distance couple. We are really we're not even a couple up to this point. We're just starting to talk.
We was just cool.
Yeah. We're just starting to talk, and she's getting ready to leave. I'm going back to home, which I'm right outside of the city. So I'm going back home to work. I'm newly, with like in 2017, I had been commissioned. So I'm getting ready to go off to my basic officer course at the end of that year. So in October, I'm getting ready to leave. So I'm just working some odd jobs in between that time just to make things happen. And like at any point in time, we both could have just met other people that were closer to us physically.
Well, you remember we both weren't we didn't cut everybody off at that point in time too. It took us.
That's not real.
No, it is real.
No, I cut people off.
No. We had that conversation later on as far as for what are we doing? And then we were like, yeah, this is gonna be something serious. Let's just whoever we're talking to at this point in time, just cut that off. Because we had that conversation.
We could have made that pact, but I had cut people off way before then.
Oh, so you was just that confident.
I put all my chips on red. Threw all my chips in and said, this is going to work. It's going to work. It's just going to work. I can't even
know that.
Yeah, no, this was it then. I can remember I was probably talking to very loosely.
I could have sworn it was. We've had that conversation because we were.
Yeah,
it was only one person for each of us.
Yeah, but it wasn't that. It wasn't all that.
We were in the same predicament.
Yeah. It just wasn't really happening. So at that point in time, that's when you and I had really started talking. So I just cut off everybody else and any other possibilities and just went full force into this. So we're long distance. We're talking. She's gone at this point to Appleton, Wisconsin. I'm working jobs at home, and our relationship is building. And but it's just the amount of, and we might go into more depth later on about this, might come up in other episodes, but just the amount of factors that were stacked against us.
It was just one big factor at that point in time. During training, it was one just...
Well, I'm talking... yes, that, but I'm also talking about long-distance relationships. Yeah. They're just, most people...
But see, at that point in time, though, it was just... We weren't worried about it that much because we were just waiting on me to graduate because then I'd have the benefit. And then I could just fly. So technically, it wasn't that long distance.
Right, but it could have gone to the point where you didn't make it out of training.
Yeah.
So it's just the amount of things that could
Oh my gosh. No, I was gonna make it out of that training.
It was a short window of time that we met each other and really just hit it off and created a good relationship. Otherwise, if things would have fizzled out, we wouldn't be here today together just because of how different our lives are.
No, I'm just laughing at the fact of you were you had to graduate. That's if you graduated. But then when I went to this training, you over here I'm planning my trips for the next few months. So I just want to make sure because you need to. I'm like, wait, can I graduate first?
Because I knew I had confidence in you then.
This one was hard.
I had way more confidence in you this time because you were already a flight attendant. So you had the experience.
But this was 6 weeks versus 4. But regardless, you had your whole life, your whole few months planned out with where you were going. And it was I need to use your flight benefits to get to here, and here to go see my boys. I put in the work to get those benefits.
I made a life with you with those benefits, so we can go tit for tat.
Okay.
Get back to.
Anyways, he's the only one who uses the benefits really because he goes to drill.
Yep.
He's the only one, so I love that for you.
Yeah, because we moved for you.
Okay.
So we get started. We're talking, and things are going well. We've gone through a couple of challenges, but we've made it through successfully. And then we get to actually starting to see each other.
Wait, when I was in training, that was the first time he told me he loved me.
Yes.
He threw it on me.
Yes, I did. Love bombing, as they say. I'm not proud of it, but it happened.
He did. He did. We don't agree with that, but he did.
Hindsight's 2020. It felt like it was the right move to make.
I was slipping.
Yes.
I was slipping through his finger.
And it felt like the right move to make. And we
so bad.
It's so bad, but we overcame it.
We were young.
Yes. Young and dumb.
I was 21 and you was like 20, what? 4.
23.
Yeah, we were
23
young.
Or 24, so. Yeah, one or two. Yep. Mm-hmm. So, and yes, we ended up, and we'll tell you about it because we are big proponents and preachers of it. We did end up going to couples counseling, not because things were messed up or bad, but because we really felt like that needed to set a foundation before we got married. But
we've done couples counseling and individual therapy. So,
yeah. But more on that in a future episode. So she gets out of training, and now we're what, a few months in, and we're just now starting to actually see each other physically.
I was based out in Dulles, Virginia. So you were in Fort Lee at this point in time.
No, not at the time yet. Remember, I'm still in Pittsburgh when you first came to see me.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, I was in Dulles at this point.
You were in Dulles, and when she would have 3 days, she would fly into Pittsburgh. And the first time she came, and mind you, nobody was really checking for what I was doing as far as my parents.
And we talked on the phone all the time. Like, I just look back at myself like, girl, what were you doing?
So then we get to the first meeting, and she flies into Pittsburgh, and I'm so excited. I get the hotel, like, we're ready to go. I got the whole, like,
nobody knew me. Like, his family didn't know me. That's the reason why we got hotels.
Yeah, so we kept this relationship extremely quiet.
For a good 6 months.
For 6 months. We kept it off of social media. Only, I think, a few of my friends actually knew about this. So this was not a everybody.
Hey, world. No.
Yeah, because of the relationships that we both were in that went horribly, literally, like, right before that point in time. People would have said, like, are you sure about that? You sure about that?
You sure about that?
So I didn't want to hear it. I knew she was the person for me from really just the first actual time I heard her voice in conversation.
Oh my gosh.
But really just, I mean, I joke a little bit, but I'm serious. But really talking to her, those first few conversations of actually talking to her, I just knew there was some feeling, there was something that just at that time I couldn't explain, but it was really God saying, this is what I've reserved for you that you've been praying for your entire life up until this point. So don't mess this up.
Yeah, he was like, I got me a 5'10" baddie.
Yeah, I thought she was taller than she was. I didn't think she was 5'10".
And if you know me in real life, you know I'm nowhere near 5'10".
I thought you were 5'6", 5'7". And just because of her voice is deeper than what I thought it was, I didn't think it was super high pitched, but I didn't think it was as rich as it is.
Rich, like chocolate.
Yes. So I was like, oh, and the angles of her pictures did make her seem a little bit taller. And remember, I've never seen her physically up to this point, so I have no frame of reference. The people that she's taken pictures with, I haven't met them to know. Well, one person, but at the picture that I'm thinking of, you were in high heels, so I wouldn't have known because it was at the Kappa?
I ain't go to that.
What's the one that my sisters went to?
Oh, you talking about at our school?
Yeah.
Oh, Kappa Cabaret.
Yeah, so you were in heels next to the person that I'm thinking.
Oh, the group picture?
Yes.
Okay.
So
I was in heels, and I still wasn't taller than anybody.
But you would have, I knew how tall that person was, and I was thinking that you were, but so, not as much taller, but not where you actually are now.
Mind you, I'm the ace of the line, so I'm just like,
But the other people behind you, I've never met in real life at that point in time, so I had
no
frame of reference.
Wait. Because were you not there when they had regionals in Pennsylvania?
No.
You weren't there? Because when everybody went
KKI?
and like the Nukes, and you remember all the Nukes, they all went to the club and there was a picture.
I wasn't there.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, you would have met Mattel, and then you would have been like, oh, she's tall. She definitely can't be.
But yeah, I didn't meet any of your line for years up at like afterward. Like, Tati, I didn't meet until the wedding. Face to face. I never seen them.
Oh, Erica too. Erica didn't go out much.
Right. So, but the parties that they went to that my chapter would have gone to, I was, again, one of those three things was happening in college, so I was never there for those points of time. Yeah. But yeah, so I thought she was taller, but she wasn't. But it didn't hinder anything. I really just knew in my heart who I was supposed to be with, and this was her.
Yeah, he says it's okay because he can look over my head to look at the menu when we're ordering food.
Oh yeah, so let's get to that first. I go and pick her up, right? I get a hotel closer to the airport because it was cheaper, and we were only gonna be there for like a night.
Maybe like a night or two.
It was either a night or two, and so you came in. I think it was really a night the first time, but either way, you came in. You got in my car. RIP to this car, and you guys will figure out.
I missed that car. I was just thinking about that car.
Hyundai Veloster, black on the outside, red interior.
That car
seats.
Was beautiful. I was like, ooh, I got love me a rich girl.
Right. Manual transmission. I looked like that dude. But I pick you up in the car from the airport. She gets in, and at this time it was the wired earbuds from Apple that they used to give you up until, before they made the AirPods, and then before that they started selling them separately and stuff. Apple started being weird. So she gets in the car, she sits down with her earphones and doesn't say hi to me and just completely ignores me.
Y'all, I don't even think I was listening to music half the time. So
I don't know what you were doing, but I was sitting there like chuckling and thinking it was funny. Like, oh, when I tell you we talk,
I was nervous.
Out of a day up until that point, we would talk 80 to 90% of that day, either in text, calling on the phone real quick, or doing a FaceTime towards the end of the night. We would talk routinely throughout the day, unless she was flying on a trip and she didn't have Wi-Fi on the plane. Those hours or however long it would take, we wouldn't talk.
I was a shy girly.
Yeah. Okay. Not when we were talking on the phone and doing all this stuff, but then you wanted to be shy when you came to see me.
I was trying to be mysterious.
So then we get to Chick-fil-A, we eat, we have a date later that night.
That's it. That's all you had to do. You had to feed me.
Yeah.
And then I started talking.
Yeah, and then you started opening up. We had a date later that night. I believe, was that the first Dave and Buster's date that we went on, or was it the second time you came in?
I think the second time I came in.
Second time you came in. But, yeah, had a lot of fun for our first time meeting each other. And then you flew back for work, and we repeated this process a couple of times. A handful of times up until Fort Lee, Virginia.
Ugh, I love Fort Lee.
So right prior to Fort Lee, prior to that, I had met your parents in Erie in August, because her dad's birthday is on. So mine is August 2nd, Anisha's is August 4th, and her dad is the 11th. So this was a few days after your dad's birthday. You were in Erie. A couple of my line brothers lived in Erie at the time, so I went out with them. Like, I went out to go to them. You were flying into Erie for a layover, so they came to see you. Yeah. And
because I think my parents had been I think they were in Cleveland, so it's not that far of a drive.
Right. And that was the first time that I met her parents, and that was an experience.
He was supposed to meet my pawpaw that day. May he rest in peace, but he didn't. My pawpaw did not go. But it was my parents, yeah.
At where did we
Cracker
go?
Barrel.
Cracker Barrel.
Nasty Cracker Barrel. Ugh.
And to know your dad is to love him and know that he's a very quiet and reserved man until you know him, and then
my dad is a hoot.
Yeah, and then you see his like personality, but we're talking about somebody who was 20 years or 20 plus years as a Ohio State patrolman.
Yeah.
And just kind of gives off that serious face.
You got a Boosie fade.
Yeah, Boosie fade, and won't really say much.
He doesn't.
And then you'll randomly hear him laugh, and you're just like, "That came from you?"
Yeah, he crack a joke, and he thinks his jokes are funny.
Yeah, it'll take him like a split second before he starts busting out laughing, and he'll be super serious, and then it's out of nowhere. There's like no transition.
Adam his name isn't even Adam in that household. It's just Leeper.
Yeah, it's just Leeper. Your dad's is just C note.
Just C note.
Just C note.
But it wasn't even my dad that he needed to be worried about. It was my mom. My mom, she said it. He doesn't even need to be worried about your dad. He should be worried about me.
Which is funny.
Which is funny because they are a mess together. They're probably the worst together.
My mother-in-law is hilarious. We're like this. We're the best.
I think so. They light skin.
Yeah, yeah. We hit it off very quickly.
Yeah, so. The way that they just go back and forth. Gosh, oh my goodness,
she's hilarious.
You'll hear more about it during the wedding planning portion because she wanted to kill this man.
Yep, the groomzilla.
He was a groomzilla. We'll get into that though.
So then, fast forward, we get to I'm in Fort Lee. So Fort Lee comes, and at this point in time, like a brother was down as far as money is concerned. I was working delivering packages at Amazon for like 40 hours a week, but it was like we're delivering 300 plus packages a day. It was crazy. Barely any money just to try to make ends meet. And that military money hits different. So I get there.
You can get Hellcats, good scat pack, and wide body scats.
I didn't do any of that foolishness because I was an officer. But I'm not saying that other officers around that time.
That's what they do. They get the money and they start getting tatted. Yeah, by scat packs.
Yeah, start doing crazy stuff. So, but I was like, okay, cool. I drove my car down there. I had my car. I was doing jujitsu in Richmond up until at that point. Like joined the gym because I was only going to be there.
Last hotel visit.
Oh yeah, so let me backtrack. So the last hotel visit,
we started talking about money.
Disaster. Yeah, that was a good segue. So the last hotel visit that we had was a disaster. It was one of the last, if not the last. But the hotel that I wanted to go to was not the one that you didn't want to go there anymore because you had
the guy was
experience. Yeah. So you wanted to cook dinner and say, like, let's get a hotel that has a kitchen, a full kitchen in it.
We were both struggling.
Yeah. So she was like, I'll buy the groceries. You book the hotel and we can like just have time. Like it would be your first time cooking for me. So I was like, okay, cool. So I had probably, I think it was just $200 or something in my bank account. And I'm trying to book. And this was before I knew, like, when you go online and look at stuff, I don't think they had it at the time, but really toggling for the taxes and fees and extra stuff until, like, the end page. But when you're going to book it, it will just tell you a price, a base price. So I was like, okay, I should have enough money for it. And I did try to calculate just based on all the hotel stays that we've had, try to calculate in the taxes and fees, like those extra fees and stuff. So I get there, and remember, up until this point, I think more people knew, like close family knew that we were talking and in a relationship, but my family wasn't on the side near the airport. So I'm at easily 30 minutes away from anybody that could help me with anything. And I get to the hotel and they're like, oh, it's going to be this much money. It ended up being, I think it was like $208 or $212 or something like that. Maybe $220, somewhere around that. But it was just enough over that I was like, man, I wish I had more. Like I wish I had that. but it was like just enough over that I couldn't make it happen. And there wasn't, at least to my knowledge, wasn't really Venmo, or I don't think I knew anybody that was really on there.
Yeah.
Up until that point, it could have been out. There wasn't Cash App, I don't believe, yet at that point in time. So I couldn't just like call somebody and get the money quickly and try to move it over so that I could get the hotel room, because she was landing in, let's say, 10 minutes up to that point. So I was just checking into the room to then go and get the keys and then go get her. And I couldn't get my card to go through. So then you land, and I am so nervous in the car in the parking lot to call you and tell you that this isn't going to happen. And I called you. I'm upset. I start crying. Mm-hmm. I feel like I let you down. Like, I really felt like the relationship was over at this point.
Yeah, that was tough. It was tough. But I had to literally turn back around and get back on the plane. Luckily, it was going back to where I needed to go. And so, that was rough. I think we just kind of like let it just kind of settle for a bit and just stop talking for like a few hours or something like that, and then just kind of resumed back to what we were, later on talking about and stuff like that. So
yeah,
it was rough. It was, but that's something that helped us get to where we are today. And yeah, it was something that I wasn't used to. And I'm sure it was something he wasn't used to at that point in time. But I think that it definitely molded what we have today. So
yeah, absolutely. Then a brother starts getting paid. We are in Fort Lee, Virginia, the good days, some of the good days at this point. When I tell you, it was so hard to stay in shape there, pretty much, because
we got big.
We did. We started getting a little fat because I would order all types of food because I had that government travel card. So I would order the food on there and then like pay it back. But we'd order all types of food. The food down there was amazing.
Ugh.
We would go
gas
out all
was
the time.
cheap. It was like $1.98.
Right outside the base, there was a gas station that was $1.98 for gas. It was cheap to live down. It was a good time.
It was so nice.
We
used to get chicken and waffles at that place that we would go get like no, it was like
we went
chicken.
to 2 different brunch spots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
we would go to get the chicken. I think like on a specific day every single week, because when they play like they'd have live music sometimes, but it was that Q that owned that place.
Yeah, that was closer to the base. Yeah,
they had Charlie's there, so we would get the Philly cheesesteaks from there, a barbecue spot,
like
Panda Express. He don't eat Panda Express, but I would.
Like I was not worried about money to the point where when I was trying to search for barbers down there, because I was there from October to February. So when I was trying to get a reliable barber down there, I went to some dude and paid $50 for a cut. And this was before the tax. Or not before the tax. This was before the tip. Before the tip and taxes. Paid him like 60-something bucks for a cut because he did the little shoulder massage joint, like the
Why don't I remember this?
I don't remember if I did tell you about this, because the dude, he was the head barber, but
I would have been telling him to stop going there.
No, it wasn't. He didn't touch me like that. Like,
no. I'm saying
that didn't happen.
I'm saying that I would have been like, you can spend your money elsewhere.
You know the
fact that you know
those electric shoulder massagers.
Adam, like, listen. Give me your hand. That is not like. Why were you spending your money on the extras?
I only went one time, and he tried to win a customer over. So because he knew I was new, because I went in uniform. This was right after class. I went with Shippy.
Yeah.
And we went, and he went into another barber chair, and he's like, "Yeah, I ain't coming back here." I was like, "I'm not either." Like, the cut was nice, but every 2 weeks to pay like the 60 ball to do that, no. Like, I don't need you to take that electric. I can get one off of Amazon and rub my own shoulders down. Like, I don't need you to do all.
It's so wild.
Because he was like, "Yeah, I'm studying the massage therapy to like integrate that into my barbershop." It was a crazy thing. Like, Buddy was wild. But yeah, I was not worried about money at that point in time. And I was there for a while. So, and it was warm down there because it's, I think it snowed bad one time, but most of the time it was warm enough that you would just have a hoodie and a light jacket.
Yeah, it was so nice.
It was good times. You would fly in all the time because that was a 15-minute flight
from Dulles. It was a 15-minute flight from Dulles, and it was literally up and down.
Up and down.
That was it.
It was super quick, and it was like by the time that I would get there, you would already be off the plane and sitting outside. Like that's how quick the flight was. But you would call me like, "Hey, I'm getting on the flight," and it would take me longer to get to the airport than it took for you to. Yeah, so it was a great time being down there. We met a lot of good people, got connected with a lot of good people that we keep up with still to this day. Got to go explore out there, had money to do so and didn't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And then we came up to, what is this, around Christmas?
I left I left being a flight attendant.
Yes.
So I was full-time stay at hotel girlfriend, sorry. And that's all I did. And at this point I was a little bit nervous because I didn't know what I was going to do with my life at that point in time. I didn't know if I was going to go back to Ohio. I didn't know what I was going to do. I had always had dreams of living somewhere else, and I was obviously living somewhere else as a flight attendant, but that was because of work. But I didn't want to go back to Ohio. And I remember sitting down with Adam, and we went to Dave and Buster's, and we sat there and was like, what are we going to do? Like, we have to leave out of Fort Lee soon. What are we going to do?
Yeah, this was after, so this had to be around either end of December, early January, or like earliest mid January. So somewhere in that time frame, because I was going to be done literally going into, Valentine's Day of 2019. Because I went there October of 2018. I was going to be done right around Valentine's Day of 2019.
Yeah.
So we had to figure out.
We had to figure something out.
And it was my future mother-in-law, but that to that point, that said what to us.
Oh my gosh, I was terrified. It was like, I don't want to come back to Ohio. And she was like, well, it sounds like you and Adam need to be finding a place to stay out there.
Bro.
I think, I was 22? 22. And never, besides moving to be a flight attendant, I've never lived far from my family, like my parents, or out of the house. So this was a little bit different for me. And I was like, and we didn't believe in shacking up. We wanted to do everything kind of, we
quote unquote by
the book. So we want to get married. We then want to have kids. Well, we want to buy a house, then have kids, that stuff. So this was a little bit different for us, especially coming from my mom to say something like that. My mom is into church and stuff like that. So
and my family was heavily into church up until that point. By the time this episode airs, like my mom has completed her PhD doctorate at the seminary school in Pittsburgh. So yes, we're talking about very heavily.
Yes, like when I would visit out there, Sundays was to go to church.
Yeah, we were going to church on Sundays.
We went to church. Yep. So I was just shocked. I think it was more one of those things where it's like you weren't expecting your mother to like really say something like that, but she did.
Well, even to that, knowing that, and we had talked about it, I said, if your mom is saying that, then she's already had conversations with my dad.
Yeah.
So I never expected for her dad to just be like, yeah, Adam's a upstanding guy. Like Leeper's a good guy. I mean, they liked me. There were certain things in our relationship up until that point that I had made them aware of that really helped my reputation with them.
The trust
building that trust with them. But even the couple of times that we went, I think up to that point, I had at least gone to their house once.
And this is a very good point that we're talking about this. Yeah, he would come to the house, but we did not sleep in the same room.
Nor did we even try to.
We didn't even try. We never did. We didn't try it. We never tried it.
So I went to Thanksgiving. We went there that year.
I think, my mom, she was like, you guys can sleep in there. And I was like, no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I kept it like that. I didn't believe in all that stuff growing up. No, I didn't have boys coming over to the house and we were able to go to the room like these newfangled kids can now. My mama didn't play that. My daddy didn't play that. I didn't even ask. I didn't even try.
Right. And then we had Christmas. We all went to Dulles
because I had to work.
I was
on call.
Yeah, so we went there.
And we all got like one of those big old suite hotels where it's like the 3 rooms or whatever.
Yeah.
I slept in the room with my niece. He slept with my nephew.
Yeah, I was like on the couch and
on the little pull-out bed with Tay Tay.
Yeah, and took all the covers from him. Let him off to the corner by himself to freeze.
Poor thing. Yeah. So no, we didn't. That was very different for us. Like I said, he would come to Ohio. We didn't stay in the same room. When I would go to Pittsburgh, we didn't stay in the same room. You would sleep with?
I would sleep in the living room, I believe, on the air mattress.
I thought I slept on the couch.
No, you slept in your room. I would sleep on the couch or on the air mattress in the living room because then.
At whose house?
At your mother's.
I'm talking about in Pittsburgh.
Oh, at my sister's house. Oh, you would sleep on the.
I thought I sleep on the couch. You
slept on like that love seat part. I would sleep on just the other part of the
Okay,
couch.
So that was the only time that we actually did stay in the same room, but we didn't do like no.
But it's the living room.
Yeah, we weren't playing that nasty game.
But yes, this was still a very big deal to have her mom just in a conversation say that because neither of us wanted to go home up until that point. And okay, Braxton. I don't think they heard that, but Braxton just passed gas, and it was crazy loud. He's a dirtball. So y'all will hear about Braxton, and we'll probably put some B-roll or something in there.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so it's at this point in time, we were both shocked. We said, okay, let's figure this out. And the only people that we knew at that moment that
were Josh and Crystal.
Yeah, were Josh and Crystal that knew anything about Richmond because they lived there and they were getting ready to move out of wherever they were at. So we were going to try to room with them. This is a married couple at this point. And we go on a double date with them to start really talking over what this would look like.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that might be a good spot to finish this before we get into the search and the ultimate find
of the Roach Motel.
The Roach Motel. And you guys will hear all about the Roach Motel in the next episode. So thank you all for joining and listening to the Love Leap. We will go over in episode 2 the leap of love that we took to the Roach Motel.
Mm-hmm. And how we got our little beautiful baby.
How we got our amazing buddy Braxton, our dog. And we'll probably put some pictures up somewhere. Yes. So a couple of things as we wrap up. We are going to be doing a giveaway. It'll be a gift card of your choice, but we will be picking the amount that goes in that. So it is a mystery. It will be nice. It's not going to be
$5.
It's not going to be cheap, right? But we're going to be doing a gift card giveaway for the podcast. In order to enter into the giveaway and to be potentially selected, you have to do a few things. Number 1, you have to subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform. Primarily, we're looking at subscriptions and downloads on Apple. So you have to subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or Spotify. You have to review it I believe you can review on Apple Podcasts. So you have to subscribe and review there. That's number 2. Download the episode.
Lord.
Huh?
Lord.
Yeah, this is gonna be beefy because I want to see who actually wants to do it to get the giveaway. And share it, right? Share it out with people. And then the last thing is comment.
We're gonna put all this in there because I know he said a lot, y'all.
We'll put it all in the description of the show. But once you do all those things, you are entered in, and then we'll do a random draw. In episode 3, we will pick the winner at the beginning, and we'll get your details from you. We'll reach out to you, get your details from you, and send you your gift card.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just to get some exposure for us as new podcasters in the platforms that we'll be on, that is the giveaway that we're going to do. So we would love for you to join in on that. Again, it's free, really just, free money at that point.
You can get a gift card wherever you want. Ulta, Home Depot, Cracker Barrel.
Yeah. And it'll only take a couple minutes of your time to do all of those things. But again, all the rules to the giveaway will be in the description.
But and you still have another episode. So you still have episode 2 to do it. Yeah. And then
episode 2, and then we will pick the winners episode 3.
Yep.
We are going to be releasing episodes bi-weekly, so you do have enough time from when this episode drops to
more than enough time.
The second episode and the third episode drops for you to get this done, and also share it with people so that they can be entered in as well to the giveaway. The more the barrier. If it's juicy enough, we might up the stakes. You never know. So don't pass up this opportunity for some free cheddar in order to help us out and get our name and stuff out there. But thank you so much for being amazing listeners.
We have a date to go on, so
yes, we do.
We are out of here.
We are out of here. Peace.
Bye. He's up here snoring.